Captain Marcus Kane stared at the tactical display showing the approaching fleet and felt the weight of history pressing down on him. 15 ships were racing toward their position, and according to Captain Mitchell, these were the same forces that had systematically exterminated humanity 5 centuries ago. The truth about galactic civilization was far darker than anyone on his crew had imagined. "Captain Mitchell, we need to understand what we are facing," Marcus said urgently. "What capabilities do those ships possess, and what are our options?" Captain Mitchell's weathered face showed grim determination as he reviewed his own tactical data. "Those are hegemony enforcement vessels, Captain Kane. They represent a coalition of the oldest galactic powers who have maintained control for thousands of years. Their technology has improved since they destroyed my people, but so has ours." Dr. Elena Rodriguez was rapidly analyzing the historical data that Captain Mitchell had shared with them. "Captain Kane, the evidence is overwhelming. The galactic civilization we serve has been built on systematic oppression and genocide. 17 different species have been eliminated over the past 2,000 years. Lieutenant Jake Morrison was monitoring the approaching fleet and finding their formation deeply concerning. Captain, they are deploying in standard elimination protocol. These ships are not here to investigate or negotiate. They are here to destroy evidence." Engineer Pete Williams was studying the human technological specifications and beginning to understand why they had been feared. "Captain, human innovation in just 500 years of isolation has produced advances that our civilization has not achieved in millennia. Their technology is not just different, it is revolutionary." Amy Chen was intercepting communications from the approaching fleet and translating their transmissions. "Captain, they are discussing the elimination of all witnesses and the complete sterilization of this system. They know exactly what they are dealing with." Dr. Lisa Taylor was reviewing the human medical and biological data and realizing the scope of what had been lost. "Captain, humanity was not just another spacefaring species. They were the key to advancing galactic civilization beyond anything we have achieved." Captain Mitchell activated additional displays showing the locations of other surviving human ships scattered throughout the galaxy. "Captain Kane, the USS Defiant is not alone. We have been secretly gathering resources and survivors for centuries, preparing for the day when we could reveal the truth." Marcus was faced with a decision that would determine not only his own fate, but the future of galactic civilization. The approaching hegemony fleet represented the power structure that had ruled for millennia, while the humans represented the potential for genuine progress and advancement. "What are you asking us to do, Captain Mitchell?" Marcus inquired directly. "I am asking you to choose between the comfortable lies you have lived with and the difficult truth of what your civilization really is," Captain Mitchell replied. "The hegemony will destroy my ship and yours to protect their secrets, but together we might have a chance to expose what they have done." Elena was discovering more evidence of historical manipulation with each passing minute. "Captain Kane, the archaeological evidence is clear. Every major advance in galactic technology can be traced back to species that were later eliminated by the hegemony. They have been stealing innovation for thousands of years." Jake was analyzing the tactical situation and finding it increasingly desperate. "Captain, the hegemony fleet will be in weapons range in 8 minutes. We need to make a decision about our response immediately." Pete was studying human defensive systems and finding hope in their advanced technology. "Captain, the human ship possesses defensive capabilities that might give us a chance. Their shield technology is based on completely different principles than ours." Amy was monitoring hegemony communications and hearing discussions that confirmed their worst fears. "Captain, they are referring to humanity as the primary threat and discussing the need to eliminate all evidence of human survival." Lisa was examining human biological enhancements and understanding their true significance. "Captain, humans did not just survive the genocide attempt, they evolved beyond it. Their technology has made them nearly impossible to eliminate completely." Captain Mitchell revealed more about human capabilities as the situation grew more urgent. "Captain Kane, humanity spent 500 years preparing for this day. We knew the hegemony would eventually discover our survival, and we have been developing countermeasures to their technology." Marcus reviewed all the information his crew had gathered and came to a conclusion that surprised even himself. "Captain Mitchell, the Galactic Survey Alliance was founded on principles of exploration and discovery. If those principles mean anything, we cannot allow genocide to be covered up. Elena was documenting everything they had learned about human civilization and its destruction. Captain Kane, this information needs to reach the galactic community. Most species have no idea what has been done in their name. Jake was preparing for combat while hoping for alternatives. Captain, if we are going to resist the hegemony fleet, we need to coordinate our efforts with the human ship. Their tactical capabilities are our only advantage. Pete was interfacing with human engineering systems and finding their technology remarkably compatible. Captain, human and galactic technologies can be integrated effectively. Their innovations could revolutionize our capabilities. Amy was establishing secure communications with other human vessels that were beginning to respond to Captain Mitchell's signals. Captain, multiple human ships are moving to support positions throughout the galaxy. This confrontation may be larger than we anticipated. Lisa was analyzing human population data and discovering the remarkable scope of their survival. Captain, humanity did not just survive in small numbers. They have maintained substantial populations in hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. Captain Mitchell was coordinating with his own crew as they prepared for the confrontation that had been inevitable for centuries. Captain Kane, humanity has spent 500 years preparing for this moment. We are ready to reveal ourselves and challenge the hegemony's control. The approaching fleet was now close enough that individual ships could be identified on the tactical display. They were massive vessels built for intimidation and destruction, representing the accumulated military might of the galactic powers that had ruled for millennia. All ships, this is Hegemony Command, came a transmission on standard galactic frequencies. You are in violation of silence protocol restrictions. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Captain Mitchell responded with calm authority. Hegemony Command, this is Captain John Mitchell of the Human Colonial Navy. The silence protocol is hereby declared null and void. Humanity claims its right to exist. Marcus made his final decision and opened communications to both fleets. This is Captain Marcus Kane of the Galactic Survey Alliance vessel Meridian. We stand with humanity and demand an end to the systematic oppression that has corrupted galactic civilization. The hegemony fleet began deploying for attack while human ships appeared throughout the system, emerging from hiding places they had maintained for centuries. The confrontation that would determine the future of galactic civilization was about to begin. Elena looked up from her data analysis with determination. Captain, whatever happens next, the truth about humanity and the hegemony will not be hidden again. Jake prepared his weapon systems while hoping they would not be needed. Captain, we are committed now. There is no path back to the way things were. Pete was amazed by the human technology he was helping to coordinate. Captain, working with human systems feels like stepping into the future. This is what galactic civilization could have been. Amy was monitoring communications throughout the galaxy as news of the confrontation began to spread. Captain, other ships are beginning to respond. The truth about humanity is reaching species throughout the galaxy. Lisa was documenting the human biological achievements that could benefit everyone. Captain, regardless of what happens here, humanity's scientific advances could revolutionize medicine for every species. Captain Mitchell looked directly at Marcus through their communication link. Captain Kane, humanity survived because we refused to accept that might makes right. Today we find out if the galaxy is ready for that lesson. The first exchange of weapons fire lit up the darkness of space as two philosophies of civilization met in deadly conflict. The Relic had awakened, and with it the hope that truth and justice might finally prevail over the comfortable lies that had maintained galactic order for too long. The bridge of the Meridian fell silent as the alien ship's message echoed through their communication system. Captain Marcus Kane stared at the main view screen where the mysterious vessel now hung in space, fully illuminated and clearly active. The voice that had spoken in perfect galactic standard was unmistakably organic, belonging to a living being rather than a computer system. Captain Kane of the Galactic Survey Alliance vessel Meridian, Marcus responded carefully. We are a peaceful exploration crew investigating what we believe to be an abandoned vessel. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. The response came quickly, and with it appeared an image on their main view screen. The face that looked back at them was humanoid, but unlike any species in their database. The being appeared male with weathered features, graying hair, and eyes that showed both intelligence and deep weariness. I am Captain John Mitchell of the Human Colonial Navy vessel USS Defiant, the figure said. We have been monitoring your exploration of our ship and appreciate your respectful approach to our technology. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had just returned from the boarding mission, looked up from her archaeological data with confusion. Captain, there's no record of any species called humans in our galactic database. They do not appear in any historical records or first contact reports. Captain Mitchell's expression grew grim at Elena's words. That does not surprise me, Dr. Rodriguez. According to our historical records, your galactic civilization made very sure that humanity would be forgotten. Amy Chen was running every search she could through the Meridian's computer systems. No matches found for humans or human colonial navy in any database, Captain. It is as if this species never existed. Lieutenant Jake Morrison studied the tactical readings from the human ship and found the results both impressive and concerning. Captain, their vessel is showing military capabilities that exceed anything in our current technology. Their weapon systems alone represent advances we have never seen. Captain Mitchell continued his explanation, while his ship maintained a peaceful but alert posture. My crew and I have been in cryogenic suspension for 478 years, waiting for the right conditions to revive. Our ship's computer awakened us when potentially hostile forces boarded our vessel. Engineer Pete Williams was analyzing the human technology and finding innovations that challenged everything he thought he knew about engineering. Captain, their power systems are beyond anything we can build. They have somehow contained and controlled stellar-level energy production in a space smaller than our main reactor. Dr. Lisa Taylor was examining the biological data she had collected from the human ship and making remarkable discoveries. Captain, the genetic samples I gathered show a species with incredible adaptability. Their DNA structure suggests they could survive in almost any environment. Captain Mitchell activated additional displays that showed star charts and historical data from the human perspective. Humanity achieved faster-than-light travel approximately 600 years ago and began exploring this region of space. We made contact with your galactic civilization 500 years ago, offering friendship and technological exchange. Elena was studying the historical data and finding gaps in the galactic records that suddenly made sense. Captain Kane, there are unexplained missing periods in our historical archives. Entire decades where the records are incomplete or heavily redacted. Your people offered us membership in the galactic community, Captain Mitchell continued, his voice carrying traces of old pain. We accepted, believing we had found allies among the stars. What we discovered instead was that your civilization viewed humanity as a threat. Amy was cross-referencing the human historical data with galactic archives and finding disturbing correlations. Captain, the timeline matches several periods in our history that are marked as classification errors in the database. Entire sections of galactic history appear to have been deliberately altered. Jake was reviewing military records and finding similar gaps. Captain, there are references to something called the Silence Protocol in some of our oldest military archives, but all the details have been classified beyond our access level. Captain Mitchell's expression grew darker as he continued his explanation. The Silence Protocol was your civilization's solution to what they saw as the human problem. We advanced too quickly, learned too fast, and adapted to new technology at a rate your leaders found unacceptable. Pete was studying human engineering principles and realizing their approach to technology was fundamentally different from galactic standard. Captain, human technology appears to focus on efficiency and durability rather than complexity. Their solutions are often simpler but far more effective than our methods. Lisa was examining human medical technology and finding advances that could revolutionize galactic healthcare. Their biological sciences are centuries ahead of our best research, Captain. They appear to have solved problems we are still struggling to understand. The galactic powers decided that humanity represented a danger to the established order, Captain Mitchell explained. We were innovating too rapidly, questioning too many assumptions, and threatening the technological monopolies that kept certain species in power. Elena was finding more evidence of historical manipulation in the galactic records. Captain Kane, I am discovering that what we have been taught about galactic history may be fundamentally incorrect. There are signs of massive data alteration going back centuries. Amy was translating more human records and uncovering the scope of what had happened to their civilization. Captain, according to these records, humanity had established colonies throughout this region of space. The Galactic Powers coordinated a systematic campaign to eliminate every human settlement. Jake was reviewing the tactical data and beginning to understand the implications. Captain, if these records are accurate, the galactic civilization we serve was built on genocide. Humanity was not the first species to be eliminated, just the most thoroughly erased. Captain Mitchell confirmed Jake's analysis with a nod. The silence protocol was used against 17 different species that were deemed threats to galactic stability. Humanity was simply the most recent target before the program was discontinued. Pete was examining human defensive technology and understanding why their civilization had been feared. Captain, human military technology appears to be designed specifically to counter galactic standard defenses. Their weapons use kinetic rather than energy systems, making them effective against our shields. Lisa was studying human biological enhancements and finding evidence of remarkable achievements. Captain, they appear to have solved aging, disease, and genetic defects. Their life extension technology could benefit every species in the galaxy. My ship and a handful of others escaped the initial assault, Captain Mitchell continued. We have been searching for survivors and documenting what happened to our people. The USS Defiant is one of only 12 human vessels known to have survived. Elena was piecing together the archaeological evidence and understanding the full scope of the cover-up. Captain Kane, the evidence suggests that human technology and culture would have advanced galactic civilization by centuries. Their elimination was not about safety, but about maintaining power structures. Amy detected new signals approaching their position and reported with concern. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting multiple ships approaching this system. The energy signatures match known galactic military vessels. Captain Mitchell's expression grew serious as he received similar readings. Captain Kane, those are the same ships that destroyed my people 500 years ago. They are coming to finish what they started. Jake was analyzing the approaching fleet and finding the situation increasingly dangerous. Captain, we have 15 minutes before they arrive. Their fleet composition suggests they are prepared for military action. Marcus Kane faced a decision that would determine not only the fate of his crew, but potentially the future of galactic civilization. The approaching fleet represented the same forces that had committed genocide against humanity, and now they were returning to eliminate the evidence of their crimes. Captain Mitchell looked directly at Marcus through the view screen. Captain Kane, you and your crew now know the truth about galactic history. The question is what you intend to do with that knowledge. The truth was finally revealed, but the real test was just beginning. Captain Marcus Kane watched from the bridge of the Meridian as the alien vessel continued its mysterious awakening. What had been a dark and lifeless hulk just hours ago was now glowing with soft lights that pulsed in regular patterns along its hull. The sight was both beautiful and unsettling, like watching a sleeping giant slowly open its eyes. External sensors are detecting massive power increases throughout the ship, reported the duty officer at the science station. Whatever energy source they are using, it is producing more power than our entire reactor system. Elena Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system from inside the alien vessel. Captain, we are seeing incredible changes down here. Systems that appeared completely dead are coming online with perfect functionality. This technology is far more advanced than anything in our database. Jake Morrison was maintaining security protocols while exploring deeper into the ship with the rest of the boarding party. The corridors were now fully illuminated, and control panels throughout the vessel were displaying information in the strange symbolic language they had discovered. The ship appears to be conducting some kind of diagnostic routine, Pete Williams reported as he studied the engineering displays. Every system is being tested and calibrated. It is like watching a computer restart after a very long sleep. Amy Chen was making progress with her translation efforts, using the mathematical patterns in the alien writing to decode basic concepts. I am beginning to understand parts of their numerical system, Captain. The ship appears to be counting something, possibly time or distance. Dr. Lisa Taylor was monitoring the biological aspects of their environment and finding more surprises. The air quality is now better than anything I have measured on any ship. These life support systems are incredibly sophisticated. Back on the Meridian, Marcus was studying the tactical implications of what they were witnessing. The alien ship was clearly more advanced than anything the Galactic Survey Alliance had encountered, and its rapid activation suggested automated systems of remarkable sophistication. Sir, the alien vessel is beginning to broadcast, announced the communications officer on duty. multiple frequencies. But the signal appears to be some kind of carrier wave rather than direct communication. Elena was documenting everything she could from inside the alien ship when she noticed something that made her pause. Captain, the design elements throughout this ship suggest a civilization that valued both efficiency and aesthetics. These are not the markings of a primitive society. Jake was becoming more concerned about their tactical situation as he observed weapon systems that were clearly visible now that the ship was active. Captain, this vessel is definitely armed. I can identify what appear to be weapon ports along the hull, and they seem to be powering up along with everything else. Pete discovered the ship's main engineering section and was amazed by what he found. Captain, their power source appears to be some kind of contained stellar process. They have essentially built a miniature star inside their ship. This should not be possible with any known technology. Amy's translation program achieved a breakthrough when the ship's communication system began broadcasting in mathematical sequences she recognized. Captain, I am detecting structured communication. The ship is definitely trying to establish contact with someone. The alien vessel's external appearance continued to change as more systems activated. What had looked like simple hull plating was revealing itself to be sophisticated sensor arrays and communication equipment. The ship was not just waking up, it was preparing for something. All stations, this is Captain Kane, Marcus announced to his crew.
Maintain yellow alert status and be prepared for immediate action.
We do not know what this ship is capable of, but we must assume it represents a potential threat. Elena was studying the ship's internal architecture when she made a disturbing discovery. Captain, I am finding evidence that this ship was designed for long-term missions, possibly generational voyages. The crew quarters suggest a population that was prepared to live in space for extended periods. Lisa was examining what appeared to be medical facilities and finding technology that surpassed anything in current galactic medicine. Their biological sciences were incredibly advanced, Captain. These medical systems could probably treat conditions we do not even know how to diagnose. Jake continued his security assessment and reported more concerning findings. Captain, the weapon systems on this ship are unlike anything in our military database. They appear to use some form of mass acceleration rather than energy projection. Our shields might not be effective against their technology. Amy achieved another breakthrough in communication when the ship began responding to her translation attempts. Captain, the ship is definitely aware of our presence and appears to be trying to establish meaningful contact. The mathematical progressions are becoming more sophisticated. Pete was studying the ship's propulsion system and finding more impossibilities. Captain, their faster-than-light drive uses principles we have never seen before. Instead of manipulating space-time, they appear to be manipulating the relationship between matter and energy. The broadcasting from the alien ship suddenly changed, shifting from mathematical sequences to something that sounded almost like speech. The patterns were complex and rhythmic, suggesting a sophisticated language, but one that followed rules different from any known galactic communication. The communication patterns are definitely organic in nature, Amy reported. These are not computer-generated signals. Somewhere in this ship, there is intelligence that is trying to communicate with us. Elena was exploring what appeared to be crew quarters when she found personal items that provided clues about the ship's builders. Captain, the artifacts I am finding suggest a humanoid species with advanced technology but also strong cultural traditions. They were explorers, not conquerors. Marcus was analyzing all the information his crew was providing when the alien ship's communication system made another significant change. The broadcast shifted again, and this time the patterns included elements that seemed familiar. Captain, Amy called excitedly. The ship is now broadcasting in what appears to be multiple languages. Some of the mathematical relationships match patterns found in early galactic trade languages. Jake was monitoring the ship's defensive systems when he noticed something that concerned him greatly. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting movement in this star system, multiple objects approaching at high speed. Pete looked up from his engineering analysis with a worried expression. Captain, those approaching signatures are showing technology similar to what we are seeing on this ship. I think we may be about to meet whoever built this vessel. Lisa was completing her biological surveys when she made a discovery that changed everything. Captain, I am finding genetic material in the ship's medical bay. The DNA structure is unlike anything in our database, but it shows signs of incredible adaptability and resilience. The alien ship's communication system activated with new urgency, and the broadcast became more insistent. Whatever intelligence was trying to communicate, it had detected the approaching ships and was clearly concerned about their arrival. Amy worked frantically with her translation equipment as the signals became more complex. "Captain, I think the ship is trying to warn us about something. The communication pattern suggests danger, and the need for immediate action," Elena was gathering as much data as possible when the ship's internal systems began showing signs of preparation for something significant. "Captain, I recommend immediate withdrawal. This ship is preparing for combat, and I do not think we want to be inside when that happens." Marcus made his decision quickly. "All boarding party members return to the shuttle immediately. We are withdrawing to a safe distance while we assess the situation." As the boarding party prepared to leave the alien vessel, the ship's communication system made one final attempt at contact. The message was brief but clear, transmitted in perfect galactic standard. "Warning acknowledged. Prepare for contact. Identify yourselves." The shuttle bay doors of the Meridian opened silently into space, and the small exploration craft drifted toward the mysterious derelict vessel. Dr. Elena Rodriguez checked her equipment one final time while Lieutenant Jake Morrison piloted their shuttle with careful precision. The alien ship grew larger in their viewport, revealing details that their long-range sensors had missed. "Look at those docking ports," Pete Williams observed from his seat behind the pilot. "They are almost the same size and configuration as our standard airlocks. What are the chances of that happening by accident?" Amy Chen was monitoring all frequencies for any change in the ship's status. "Still no signals, but I am detecting some kind of passive scanning. Something is definitely watching us, even if it is not actively communicating." The shuttle settled against what appeared to be a docking port on the alien vessel's side. Jake worked the controls carefully, and after several minutes of adjustment, they heard the soft sound of a successful connection. "Atmosphere is breathable on the other side," Lisa Taylor reported after checking her medical sensors. "Temperature is within normal range for most galactic species. Whatever built this ship, they had similar environmental needs to us." Elena stood and gathered her archaeological equipment. "Remember, we are here to observe and document, not to disturb anything unnecessarily. This ship has been preserved for centuries and we want to keep it that way." The airlock cycled and the boarding party stepped into the alien vessel. The corridor beyond was larger than expected, with smooth walls that seemed to glow with a faint internal light. The floor felt solid under their feet, and the air smelled clean and fresh, as if the ship's life support systems were still functioning perfectly. "The construction is remarkable," Pete whispered as he ran his scanner along the walls. "These materials are showing no signs of age or deterioration. After 500 years in space, this ship should be showing massive structural damage, but everything appears perfect." Jake kept his weapon ready but found no immediate threats. The corridor stretched ahead of them, curving gently to the left. Emergency lighting panels along the walls provided just enough illumination to see clearly, though none of them remembered seeing any power sources when they scanned the ship from outside. "The proportions are all wrong for any known galactic species," Elena noted as she documented everything with her recording equipment. "These corridors are sized for bipedal humanoids approximately our height and build. Most spacefaring species are either much larger or much smaller than this." Amy was using her portable communication array to scan for any electronic signals within the ship. "I am detecting very faint electromagnetic activity, almost like background noise. There might be some kind of computer system running at minimal power levels." The group moved deeper into the ship, following the main corridor toward what appeared to be the central section. Side passages branched off in both directions, leading to areas that looked like crew quarters and workspaces. Everything was clean and organized, as if the crew had just stepped out for a moment. "Look at these control interfaces," Pete said as he examined a wall panel in one of the side rooms. "The design is incredibly intuitive. Even without understanding the language, I can guess what most of these controls might do." Lisa was studying the air circulation systems and making notes on her medical scanner. "The life support technology is more advanced than anything I have seen before. The air is not just breathable, it is actually cleaner and purer than what we have on our own ship." Elena paused at an intersection where the corridor opened into a larger chamber. The room beyond contained what appeared to be a command center, with stations arranged in a pattern that looked oddly familiar despite the alien technology. "This looks like a bridge," Jake observed as he swept the area with his security scanner. The layout is similar to our own ship design, but more efficient. Whoever built this understood the principles of effective command structure. Amy approached what looked like a communication station and was surprised when the panel responded to her touch. Symbols appeared on the screen, flowing and changing in patterns that seemed almost alive. She stepped back quickly, but the display continued to show activity. "Did I just activate something?" Amy asked nervously. Elena moved closer to examine the display. The symbols are definitely a form of writing, but unlike anything in our linguistic database, the patterns suggest mathematical relationships, which indicates advanced intelligence. Pete was studying what appeared to be an engineering station when more panels began activating around the bridge. Lights came on in sequence and a low humming sound began emanating from somewhere deep within the ship. "We definitely triggered something," Pete announced. "Power levels are increasing throughout the ship, but I cannot identify the source. This should not be possible with what we observed from outside." Jake was becoming more concerned about their safety.
Captain Kane, this is the boarding party.
"The ship is showing signs of activation. We may need to withdraw." Marcus Kane's voice came through their communication system with a slight delay. "Understood, Lieutenant. What is your assessment of the threat level?" "Unknown, Captain," Jake replied. "The ship appears to be responding to our presence, but we have not detected any hostile actions. Request permission to continue investigation for another 30 minutes. Lisa was monitoring the air quality and finding it actually improving as more systems came online. The life support is becoming more active, Captain. Whatever is happening, the ship seems to be making itself more comfortable for us." Elena was fascinated by the writing that continued to appear on various screens around the bridge. The symbolic patterns are becoming more complex. It almost looks like the ship is trying to communicate, but we do not understand the language. Amy connected her portable translation computer to one of the active panels and began running analysis programs. The mathematical progressions in these symbols suggest they might be some form of universal language based on physics and mathematics. If I am right, we might be able to decode basic concepts. Pete discovered what appeared to be a main computer terminal and was amazed by its design. This computer architecture is completely different from Galactic standard, but somehow more elegant. The processing power appears to be enormous, but the system uses almost no energy. Jake continued his security sweep and found no weapons or defensive systems, but something about the ship's growing activity made him nervous. "Captain, recommend we establish a retreat plan. This ship is becoming more active by the minute, and we do not know what it might be capable of." Elena was too excited by the discovery to consider leaving. "This is the most significant archaeological find in decades, Captain. We cannot abandon it now when we are just beginning to understand what we have found." The humming sound was growing stronger, and more lights were activating throughout the ship. The alien vessel was definitely waking up, responding to their presence in ways that suggested sophisticated automated systems. Whatever civilization had built this ship, they had created technology that could survive centuries of dormancy and then activate when needed. Amy's translation program began showing results, identifying basic mathematical concepts in the alien writing. "Captain, I think I am beginning to understand parts of their language. The ship appears to be running some kind of identification protocol." Lisa noticed that the temperature and humidity were adjusting to optimal levels for human comfort. "The environmental systems are adapting to our biology, Captain. Somehow this ship is learning what we need to be comfortable." Marcus Kane's voice came through with a decision. "Continue your investigation, but be prepared for immediate withdrawal if the situation changes. I want constant updates on the ship's status." The boarding party continued their exploration as the alien vessel grew more active around them. Whatever they had discovered, it was far more than just an ancient derelict floating in space. Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the Galactic Survey Alliance vessel Meridian and stared at the massive view screen before him. The stars looked the same as they always did in this forgotten corner of space, cold and distant, but today something was different. His ship had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this location, following a signal that barely registered on their long-range sensors. "Captain, we are approaching the coordinates now," said Lieutenant Jake Morrison from his position at the tactical station. Jake was a young officer with sharp eyes and steady hands, the kind of person Marcus trusted to watch his back during dangerous missions. Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked up from her science station, where she had been studying the sensor readings for hours. Elena was the best xenoarchaeologist in the Alliance, known for her ability to piece together the history of dead civilizations from the smallest fragments. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her brown eyes showed the excitement she always felt when approaching a new discovery. "The object is definitely artificial," Elena said, her voice filled with curiosity. "It appears to be a ship of some kind, but the design does not match anything in our database. The hull composition is also strange, showing elements we have never seen before." Communications specialist Amy Chen turned in her chair to face the captain. Amy was small and quick, with an ability to decode even the most complex alien languages. She had joined the crew 2 years ago and had already proven herself invaluable on dozens of missions. "No signals coming from the object, Captain," Amy reported. "It appears to be completely dead. No power signatures at all." Engineer Pete Williams wiped his hands on a cloth and looked up from his engineering console. Pete was a big man with gentle eyes who could fix anything that broke on the ship. He had been working in space for 15 years and had seen more strange technology than most people could imagine. "The power readings are flat, Captain," Pete confirmed. "Whatever that thing is, it has been cold for a very long time." Dr. Lisa Taylor, the ship's medical officer, stood near the back of the bridge reviewing her equipment. Lisa was calm and professional, the kind of person who could handle any crisis with steady nerves. She had requested to join this mission because she was curious about alien biology and wanted to study any remains they might find. Marcus nodded to his crew and turned back to the view screen. The object was now visible as more than just a dot on their sensors. It was indeed a ship, but unlike anything he had ever seen. The hull was smooth and dark, with lines that seemed to flow like water frozen in metal. It was beautiful in a way that made him think of ancient art rather than modern engineering. "How old do you estimate it to be, Elena?" Marcus asked. Elena studied her readings more carefully before answering. "Based on the cosmic radiation exposure and the drift patterns, I would estimate at least 500 years, possibly more. This ship has been floating in space for a very long time." The meridian moved closer to the derelict vessel, and more details became visible. The ship was larger than Marcus had first thought, perhaps twice the size of their own vessel. Strange markings covered parts of the hull, symbols that looked almost like writing, but in no language any of them recognized. "Those markings are definitely intentional," Elena observed. "They appear to be some form of communication, possibly identification markers or warnings." Jake studied the tactical readings and shook his head. "No weapons visible, Captain, but with this level of technology it is hard to be certain. The hull design is unlike anything in our military databases." Amy was running every frequency scan she could think of, searching for any trace of communication signals. "Still nothing, Captain. If there is any active technology on that ship, it is completely silent." Pete reviewed the engineering data and made a small sound of surprise. "Captain, the hull material is showing properties I have never seen before. It appears to be some kind of metal, but the molecular structure is incredibly dense and stable. This material should not be possible with any known manufacturing process." Lisa checked her medical sensors and found them equally puzzled by what they were seeing. "No life signs, Captain, but the ship's atmosphere appears to be intact. The hull has not been breached anywhere that I can detect." Marcus made his decision. "We are going aboard. Elena, I want you to lead the archaeological survey. Jake, you and Pete will handle security and technical assessment. Amy, bring your communication equipment in case we find any active systems. Lisa, I want you to monitor for any biological hazards." The crew began preparing for the boarding mission while Marcus continued to study the mysterious vessel. Something about it troubled him, though he could not identify exactly what. The ship looked old and dead, but there was something in its design that suggested power and purpose. It reminded him of a sleeping predator, beautiful and dangerous even in rest. "Boarding party, report to Shuttle Bay 1 in 30 minutes, Marcus announced over the ship's communication system. "Full environmental suits and standard exploration equipment." As his crew prepared for the mission, Marcus remained on the bridge studying the alien vessel. The Galactic Survey Alliance had sent them to this remote region, following reports of unusual energy signatures. But those signatures had faded weeks ago. Now they had found what appeared to be an ancient derelict from an unknown civilization. The galaxy was full of dead civilizations, species that had risen and fallen long before the current galactic community had formed. Most left behind only ruins and fragments. pieces of technology that barely functioned and provided little insight into their creators. This ship looked different, more complete and better preserved than anything they usually found. "Captain," Elena called from her station, "I am detecting trace amounts of an unknown element in the hull composition. Our computers cannot identify it, but it appears to be some kind of power storage material." Marcus nodded, making note of another mystery to investigate. Every scan revealed something new about this vessel, something that did not fit with their understanding of galactic technology. He had the feeling they were about to discover something important, something that would change their understanding of this region of space. The Meridian held position next to the derelict ship, while the boarding party made final preparations. Soon they would have answers to at least some of their questions, though Marcus suspected those answers would only lead to more mysteries. In his experience, the most interesting discoveries were always the ones that challenged everything you thought you knew.